And welcome to For Action Takers Only. Today I got on Jason Lombardi. He is a prominent figure in the SubTo community. He's on the Monday East Coast Daily Dials every Monday morning, and he is helping people sharpen their skills in this and learn. And he's been a big influence. I really like his style, and I wish I could participate in his daily dials, but I don't get to. But I'm going to bring him on in here, and we're going to get to know him. What's going on, Jason?
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and sorry for the screw up again. So I thought he was in Los Angeles, and he is in Florida, so I'm on the completely wrong coast.
Yeah, no, we've been in Florida for like 7 years now, but I grew up in LA and lived there a long time.
Okay, cool. So how long have you been in SubTo?
I want to say April of 2024 or 2020, I believe.
Okay, 2020. So you've been in there about almost 4 years?
No, I don't know. It's been like 3 years, a little over 3 years. Maybe I'm off here or there. But I wasn't one of the first people in. I was like, I don't know, whenever. But it was in the beginning, the whiteboard days, when there was no Zoom like that. So it was a good time.
How long have you been doing these Monday morning East Coast Daily Dials?
I want to say about 2 years.
Yeah. And
yeah,
how
I mean,
did you get involved in
since it started, I forget who did my slot. Someone else did it before me, and then they took off, and I started doing it. I think it might have been Oscar. I'm not sure.
Okay. So how did you get involved in doing that?
Well, me and Caroline were in TTP together before SubTo.
Okay.
She joined first, and she was like, "It's awesome. You're gonna love it." I was doing a flip at the time. I was kind of busy. And then as soon as that got through, I just jumped right in. And it was during the pandemic. It was like the best time ever to call people.
So you were doing real estate before you got into SubTo then. So you were TTP prior to.
Yeah, I was doing it, but I was doing a deal here and there. I wasn't doing like a couple a month or nothing like that.
Okay. So how long have you been involved in real estate investing?
I bought my first multi in 2002, but I had it for, I don't know, a long time. And then I bought another multi, and this was in Massachusetts. And their laws, I'll say, are unfavorable to landlords.
Okay.
So pretty much we were out of there. We came down here, and it's, Florida's the Wild West. You can kind of do whatever you want. And so it's super friendly down here to do what we're doing, wholesaling and really anything. Okay,
so your main focus is wholesaling?
Yeah, I kind of right now we're doing a lot of flips, but I'm sick of doing flips. I'd rather just wholesale. It's just too much hand holding and stuff like that.
Okay, is that what you started with, wholesaling?
No, I just started out as a landlord for a long time, like 14, 15 years. And then I switched into wholesaling when I moved to Florida. And I got my first deal. And as soon as I got that check, I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And that was it. And it's ever since then, that was like my thing. And I bought and sold cars and stuff like that, like in the early years in Massachusetts. But you're only making like $4 or $5 grand, maybe, like a deal, So it was like you had to do a lot of deals.
All right. So what did you do before real estate investing?
I was a union glazer, like glazing like glass buildings, like high rise style, like stuff like that.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a cool job, but it's like any other job, and it's a union. So it's like as soon as you reach your pinnacle in the union, that's like where you're at forever, pretty much. You get a dollar raise here or there, nothing major,
Right. All right. So I got to ask you about your art. I already did once, but I'm going to ask on here. So your art behind you is Paul Booth.
Paul Booth, yeah, he did this.
Friends with Paul Booth?
What'd you say?
You said you're friends with Paul Booth, huh?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while, but he did both my sleeves, and I've known him for a long time. And he's an awesome dude. He's a peculiar dude, but he's awesome. True.
I've always been a fan of his art.
Yeah. Have you ever been to a shop? Well, it closed down, but any of his shops?
No, I never had the opportunity to go. He was up there in New York, right?
Yeah, he had one that was like right outside of Times Square. It was awesome.
It was supposed to be. Yeah, I heard a lot about it, but I never got to go up there.
Yeah,
so
COVID killed it.
Yeah. So you got both your arms done by him?
Yeah, he did them, and it's like they're good. You got to see them, I guess. But
Yeah, I got
Like Paul did 'em. Everywhere
no.
I go, everyone has a guess that it's Paul Booth, and they never believe me that Paul did him.
All right. So, and you're also a guitar player, huh?
Yeah, I don't play it too much anymore. I do. Like I used to play. We had bands all the time when I was like younger, but I haven't played in ages. You know, I have an acoustic in the house and I'll jam out here and there, but that's really it. My friend Buzz just sent me that guitar. It's a 7-string ESP, so it's awesome.
Badass. So, how you like it?
I'm used to playing a 6-string. I traded him an Ibanez, and so it's just different, and it's got active pickups. It's just like so much heavier in the 7-string. You know, it's
Yeah,
just a
it's
different
a lot
beast.
different.
Yeah,
Takes some
and
getting used to.
it's a big like heavy guitar too compared to my Ibanez, but it's so heavy though. It's awesome. You know.
Yeah. Cool. That's badass. That's so I found out some other things about you just recently, and it's like, wow, this is someone you're a big influence. Sorry, I got really nervous about this interview too, and messed up the time. I was just getting in from work when I called you back, so had to get scrambled and get this done. So
Yeah,
I
that's
appreciate you really appreciate you still doing it, man.
yeah, no problem. I was actually gonna try to postpone it an hour. I've been like busy all day, so I was like, I got home late.
It's been a crazy day.
Yeah, it's hectic every
Yeah,
day.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. But thank you. And let's get back to real estate. So how long? So now you're going along and you're doing wholesaling, and that's your main thing. Are you still in multifamily, still being a landlord?
No, we have a couple of rentals, but not so much. I'm trying to. I might get more long-term rentals. We have Airbnbs and stuff like that, but they're not doing great in Venice. There's like 900 of them, so it's like Venice is too small for that many. And
Okay.
it was awesome in the beginning when no one had Airbnbs, and you know it's saturated every market right now. Just everyone has an Airbnb, and
Right.
you know they perform, they do well, but they're not like they used to be. In the summer here, it's like there's no one even rents them. You know, it's too hot. So
Okay. So,
it's an all
yeah.
right gig. You know, it's a job. Airbnb is just another job, pretty much.
Okay. So if you're gonna get out of that, I never wanted to get into the Airbnbs. Yeah, I saw that it was pretty saturated. I'm just starting out, so
Yeah.
Airbnbs are like, no, I'm not hitting that yet. I want to do more multifamily, but are you gonna hit back to multifamily? Do you ever plan to go back to doing that?
I'm not sure. So I was with this guy all day. He does more commercial, and I'm like, I've been seeing how he's doing it a lot, and I'm like, there's like major money in commercial. Like in doing houses, you're making 100 grand maybe a month if you're lucky. You know, doing commercial, you can really make a lot of money. You know, and it's like so. It's opened my eyes to that. Like now, I'm seeing them everywhere, and hopefully we can get going on that. But I don't know too much about it. You know, and
Right.
it's a whole different buyer too.
A
So
whole
it's
different ball game. Yeah, it's
yeah, I want to
new.
wholesale. I don't want to own any commercial. I just want to wholesale it.
Just want to wholesale it.
Yeah,
Thought about it too, but yeah, it's still I'm new, real new to real estate. So I just started. I joined SubTo back in May, and
yeah,
then started firing up really in June, July. So I'm still
yeah,
cold calling or was cold calling. Now I'm on a team and they're giving me a little bit warmer calls. So working on my conversations. What I really suck at, and I know I learned this week is terms and trying to pitch creative. Oh boy, that was a train wreck. So
yeah. Switch cash.
yeah,
That's what they need. Cash. You know, forget
oh,
terms. Yeah.
negotiating. How did the negotiating that part? That was tricky. So how did you find the transition into wholesaling, learning that part of the business?
Well, it was like like I said, I started selling motorcycles, and then that turned into motorcycles and cars, and then it turned to more into like hot rods and like cooler stuff.
Hmm.
And but I was just like title jumping, just you know, I'd buy it, they wouldn't sign, they'd sign it, and I didn't sign it, and then I'd sell it to whoever, and they would sign it, just like a wholesale contract, more or less, you know. And but it's like I said, it's limited. If you're buying something for 20, 30 grand, you're maybe going to make 5 grand on it, maybe,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And so it was like, but it opened my eyes. I was like, wow, you know, I was working full time, and I was still making, you know, not much, maybe 10, 12 grand a month, you know, like on the side. I was making more money on the side than my job, you know,
Okay.
for a while there. And then once I saw that for like a year, I was like, we got to move and do this like full time. And so when I initially came down to Florida, I was coming to be more of a landlord. I wasn't really thinking about wholesaling so much. I was and I wasn't. Like I knew what it was. I knew what SubTo was before Pace had his thing. I was in another mentorship and it was lame. But so when I came down, I was more focused on that type of stuff. And then, long story short, I wholesaled this house right behind mine after the hurricane, and I made 45 grand for my very first deal. And so it was like, I like couldn't believe it, and it was like, so as soon as I cashed that check, and I was just like, wow, 45 grand. It's like you could work in Florida for a year and make like 50, 60 grand, like a regular
That's
job.
that's more than my salary. So
Yeah. And so it's like, so I saw that, and that was pretty much it. I was just like off and running. And then the pandemic obviously was the best thing that ever happened to me. Like they came in, they said, hey, we're laying everyone off for 3 weeks. There's going to be this big pandemic, whatever. And I was literally just started a flip, like right, just ironically, just started a flip. So we all got laid off, and I just took my workers from my job and I had them all help me on the flip. So it was like we just smashed through it. And so it was perfect timing. This lady next door, her sister was moving down or some shit, and she bought it cash, no nothing. So it was like, again, we made like 60 grand in maybe 2 months, maybe 7 weeks. So it was awesome. And she closed right away, cash, and she used her own attorney, so I didn't have to really worry about anything. You know what I mean? She paid for all that, and so I had two big hits, like kind of back to back. And so I had, roughly like 100 grand to like bullshit with. And then the pandemic hit, like that was awesome. We just hung around with the kids all day and barbecued and like hung out, went swimming. And so it was fun. The pandemic was awesome. But we started calling, and it was like everyone you called was home. Everybody, so it was like you talk to like 100 people a day. So it's like your chops on calls got real good quick.
okay.
And but people had time, like they're home, you're home. It's not like you call them now and they're like, hey, I'm in a rush, I'm picking up my kids, bye, click. And they were more like you could talk to them a little bit more, and everyone was in the same boat. And the pandemic was like the first thing I'd say, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I know, you're in the pandemic, we are too, we got laid off. So this is new for me, calling people, trying to just make money, feed my family. Like that was like my call. It was different than, hey, do you want to sell your house? So
Right.
it was and I was still in Brent's mentorship at the same time. So it was like I was still going to that. I think our calls were on Wednesday or something like that. I was still going to that, still learning from him. And like I said, the calling had picked up for everybody. So it was like there was a group of people that was just calling all day. It was awesome. You could just call all day and talk to 100 people.
And now you can't get a hold of nobody.
Yeah, that's what I mean. We just literally stopped cold calling altogether. We were just like, this is ridiculous. We tried texting. It was slightly better than cold calling, but you get everyone wants AR, their value plus 20 grand or something. Like there's no deals to be had.
Right.
And,
Yeah, I'm seeing that. So
yeah, so it sucks. I still do a lot of door knocking. I did some today, just one house, but it was like it looks like a good potential house. And but I've been doing more JVs lately. I don't know if people bring them to me, I'll sell them. I don't care, but I don't really JV with people, but if they want to bring me deals, I'll sell them. And that's actually been like doing really good lately. I was like, wow, I think we're making more money JVing than we're on our own deals, so it's like, we got to take a look at that a little better.
So are you a buyer or buyers? Well, you're not a buyer, you're a wholesaler. So
Yeah,
buyers. You got a buyers list?
I'll buy in my market. You know what I mean? I buy all the time. I'll buy like lots and stuff and then just seller finance them, wrap the notes, like stuff like that. And like I said, I'll buy rentals, but everything, like I don't have one loan except my home that has my name on it. Everything else is just seller finance, creative, LLCs, whatever. And so it's like if it's a creative deal, I'm in it for as little as possible. I'll buy it. And sometimes we do a fluff and buff and just throw it on the market, see what will happen, and sometimes we'll flip them. And mostly I'll just wholesale them. It's just wholesale is the way to go, especially in this market. Like I don't know what's going on right now, and it's like if you can make, my theory is you can make 30 grand on a wholesale, take it. Don't hold it and rent it for a million years. Like who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years?
Right. So you think the market's it's been pretty crazy, huh?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like I know if you can make 20, 30K a pop, then you got it. You don't have to worry about managing that house and losing money all year and taxes. And our insurance is like out of control in Florida. It's screwing up.
Well, we're the same here in Texas. Yeah,
deals.
the insurance is just skyrocketing. It's getting
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
so
It's like
we have the
everything's
same.
getting rezoned, flood zones, and all this nonsense. You know.
Yeah, the flood. Yeah, those flood policies are wonderful. So, when you started in wholesaling, obviously you had to start cold calling. So how did you find that?
Cold calling.
Yeah, how did you do on that?
Like I
Well, you
said, I
already
was
sold.
always into real estate, like always, like wanting to get more into it, but I never did. And I had like a Russ Whitney program, like this dude that used to sell like an old school like tapes thing, and you listen to the tapes and you go door knocking and all this type of shit. And so I
Okay.
always had a good idea of what it all was, but I had no like empathy for people. I'd just be like, "Hey, you want to sell your house? Like you're in foreclosure. You suck. You know, sell me your house." And I was just had no empathy. I didn't care, and that's what like. So when I got into SubTo, you know how the whole vibe. We're very supportive and all that.
Right.
And I was always like the red seller. Like I was never a buyer. Everyone wanted me to be a seller. You know what I mean? Just to rip people. And it was fun. And it got to the point where people would be like, "Oh, well, let's switch the tables. Like I'll be a dick to you and you do the call." You know? And I was like, "Okay." And so I realized like real quick that I'm like pushy on the phone and like just a more of a dickhead, but I had no empathy. Like that was the common word. Like I heard it like 10 times in a row from different people. And I was like, all right, but it's good to know what you're missing, like what the missing link is, you know? And, but once I like slowed down and really listened to people and got like engrossed in their stories,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, it was like I really learned a lot. And people were like, Don Rich taught me a ton. You know what I mean? Oscar, Keston, like we were all in at the same time. Pace, I've seen him do thousands of calls. Like in the back in the days, he'd do them all day, you know? And you start to absorb that. But I was like, man, I'd never do a call like that. Like, why would I would never do a call like that? And then I learned like kind of from those guys, like, hey, you got to really like dial it in and get to know these people and but connect super fast. And so, and this is kind of the thing too, is I was door knocking a lot during the pandemic. In the very beginning, I was like, oh, I got time all day. I got nothing to do. So I was door knocking and no one was answering the pandemic. You know what I mean? Like zero people answering. Like I knocked the door, I'd see them in the house and they wouldn't even like come to the door, you know?
Well,
And
people were freaked the hell out. They're like, "What
yeah,
the hell is this guy pandemic knocking on my door?"
yeah. So it was like I had the time to do it, but then no one was answering the door. So
It was
then I was like
opposite.
really like focused on calling, and that's when I joined Brent's mentorship, you know. And but it just took it to the next level, and it was like you're doing a deal here, there, one a month, something like that, and then it was like all of a sudden we are just stacked, and and it's just me and my wife. My wife helps me like other ways. She helps me more now than ever, but back in the day, it was like we just kind of hung around all day, and she went on Zillow, and we just drove around and looked for houses.
Okay.
And my
So,
kids were younger then. I'd throw them in the car and just cruise around.
how old
And
are they now? They look like they're getting pretty big.
yeah, and my son's 15 and he's bigger than me.
Wow. How
And
old are you?
I'm 49. I'm gonna be 50. So
49. All
yeah,
right.
I got
Well,
two
I
feet
got
in
a
the
couple
ground.
years on you.
Yeah. So yeah, I know. It's so weird teaching all these kids to wholesale, and it's like the same phobias of everything. It's like, dude, just pick up the phone. It's easy, and like no one wants to. Everyone wants to text. So it's like
Yeah, I
it's a
can
different
see
time.
that. So what would you say was your biggest struggle when you started out doing this?
Um,
What did you struggle with? What gave you a hard time and busted your balls?
I don't know. I had a pretty good. I
You
had a
have a
pretty good.
sales background, so you didn't I don't see you struggling with that too much, huh?
Yeah, I did all right. And I was I was looking for seller finance deals, and so that flip that I bought it off of Craigslist
Mhm.
for $90,000. But I went through the chain of title. This is before I even knew what a chain of title was, and I saw that the lady had seller financed it to the guy that I bought it from. And so, long story short, I tracked her down. Her name was Sharon. She lives in Venice. And I asked her if she would seller finance me, and she was like, "Yeah, sure," like that easy. And I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "How much do you want for interest?" And she was like, "Give me 5%." And this was when it was like 3, 4. And I was pissed off at 5. I'm like, 5? Like, really? And she was like, "I'm doing you a favor." And so anyway, that was like kind of like I just was always into it, and then YouTube became a thing. And Propelio TV, you're from Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Dan and all those guys, Grant Kemp. Like I was always watching those guys, and they had their own channel. They were like the first ones to have like a channel like all day. And Eddie Speed selling notes. Like I was still into notes. I still do that, and it's like I've been doing it a long time. I'm an old dude. I've been around a while. So, but the wholesale is like my love. It's like I like the hunt of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
How often now doing wholesaling? How often are you running across the SubTo deals or creative deals?
We still run across them. I had a SubTo deal the other day, but like I said, it was perfect deal. Everything was good. It was right down the street. I could walk to it. The insurance screwed it up. The insurance was like he was paying 1,300 and something. His flood insurance was $600. I tried to put it in an LLC. It's no longer in a homestead. My insurance was like $4,900, and I could absorb his $600. Like he could, I could take that over, and then just screwed up the deal. My payment would have been like $2,600, and my rent was 25. And it's like I like to get in deals cheap, but I'm not going to lose money. And you know how rentals are. There's always something you're dealing with, and I was just like, I just don't want to get distracted. And I was gonna buy it like 100%, and then it just like the numbers just didn't work out.
Okay, so most of your wholesale deals, are they cash? Do they turn in? Are they cash wholesales?
Yeah, 90% of them.
Okay.
So they're not bad, and it's I like to do a really short contract, week, 10 days, something like that, and just in and out. And but you got to have good buyers to do that. Have pretty good buyers. I only sell like maybe 5 guys. It's like the same group of guys. And
So you got a team behind you?
No, it's just me. Like like I said, I'll JV with people, but I've been in Venice a long time, and I've door knocked like everybody, and the deals just kind of come here and there. Like eventually the deals, you call them and oh yeah, we're going to sell, and but it's slower now for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year it was like we did deals every week, and now it's like we're doing more flips, and we're still doing deals. I still make more money from wholesale than flipping, but it's like, I don't know why we even do flips. It's like just kind of keep us occupied. And we had a house that was a rental we had for a long time, and we're like, let's flip that thing and get rid of it. And so that's kind of what we're doing. And then after that, I have a bunch of cars. I'm going to try to get rid of like 4 or 5 of those and just
hot rods.
Yeah,
the hot rods in the pictures on your Facebook.
Yeah. There's I'm going to sell some stuff and try to get some other cool shit.
All right, those are nice. Did you build those?
No, the old blower car, that thing was chopped in like 1950. So that's another car. That's a 32 Plymouth, and I've done a ton of work to it, but I didn't build it. And the maroon car, you've seen that. That car I pretty much bought like that. I bought it off of this dude in South Carolina, and that was it. The car's awesome. It's finished. It's completely finished. You don't have to do anything. It's got AC and all that fun stuff. And but I have some other projects that are in the middle of being projects. And my wife just bought a 56 Cadillac, which is a total project.
All right. So I got to ask you, do you got your own podcast? Do you do a podcast too? Or you just get interviewed by other people?
No, I don't have a podcast.
No? So you're just getting interviewed by other people? I saw a couple other things. I didn't get a chance to watch them, but.
Yeah. I was on Effie's last week. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I saw that one or part of that one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So door knocking, is that where you're finding? How are you finding most of your deals wholesaling right now? If you're not cold calling, you said door knocking. How often are you getting out door knocking? And how compared to cold calling would you consider door knocking a better way to get in front of people?
Yeah, unless the house is abandoned or something, But like I said, I jumped out today. I'll jump out at any time, and it's like I'm not door knocking a street. I'll door knock, if I see a house, I'll door knock it If no one's there, which is what I want, then I'll door knock the neighbors and get more info. And then usually the neighbors will kind of fill you in on what you need. And, but I don't mind door knocking. It's like sometimes I'm over it. I'm just like, I don't even feel like it. And then sometimes I'm like door knocking people at like 7 a.m. I'm like inspired and they're pissed, you know. And but I used to go for like a couple hours a day. I don't really do that too much anymore. But I
No.
follow the most likely deals, so that's what I've been doing. And like I said, it's slower now. I can't spend all day just
So
walking
you're
around.
just getting more people dropping them in your lap right now?
Yeah,
For like
I'd say yeah
JV?
for sure. JVs are definitely taking over.
You're getting a lot of stuff. What's your market? Where are you at in Florida right there?
Venice, Florida. So I do like Sarasota to Tampa, basically.
Okay.
I don't. I mean, sometimes we'll get deals in Fort Myers, but I try to stay out of there. And we just bought a house in Punta Gorda, which is kind of in between Venice and Fort Myers, but pretty much from Venice to Tampa, Sarasota area.
Okay. So I mean, we had at the beginning of the pandemic too, everybody, I mean, and since you have a lot of people moving to Texas and Florida. So
Yeah.
how is that? That hasn't increased your business?
No, it has. Like I said last year, it was like we're selling to a lot of people with dumb money. They're coming from Texas or they're coming from Minnesota or whatever, and or New York. We're getting a lot of them. Ohio. They're selling their houses for 900 grand. Coming down
Right.
here in a house for me for 300 looks like a deal, you know. And
Right.
so it depends. Like most of my stuff, I wouldn't say all of it, but some of it we sell to out of state people that just randomly buy it, and
Okay.
but most of it's local.
Okay. So what's the name of your business so we can let people know?
Revenue Empire LLC.
Okay.
That's my main one. I have a one called SubTo Empire. That's my 2024 LLC, but I haven't used it yet.
Haven't used it yet?
No.
SubTo Empire?
Yeah, I hold a lot of houses in Revenue Empire, so I want to start not using that so much, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's not bad. See, it's like I don't know. Florida's like an easy market. There's like you said, people are coming and going. Everyone, you got people dying because they're old, and you got people moving down. So it's like a good mixture. You're always doing some sort of probates or some bullshit, and then stuff like that. But it's good. Like I would tell you this: like, where I lived in Massachusetts, this wouldn't be a thing. I would never like get away with anything like that, or
Oh,
and,
really?
yeah, there's no laws for landlord laws are terrible. Just everything's like they're trying to stop you from having fun, you know.
Oh, okay. So what's your plans? Where are you looking to take it now? Like what's your goals? You got goals for this year? What are you looking to do for this
Yeah,
year?
I want to do more commercial for sure.
So you're
And
heading into commercial.
like Inglewood, Venice, there's so many buildings that are old, shitty buildings that are vacant. And if we could do something with them, I'd love to do that. And I'm seeing people starting here and there to renovate buildings, but we got way more empty ones than we need. And
Right. Well, I was watching a news thing not too long ago about, and one commercial investor says that there's going to be a big hit because of COVID. All the people that started working from home and
yeah,
that are not returning to the offices now, these offices are empty and they're losing rent money, and so a lot of places are losing money on holding these spots open, and they're going to start getting rid of them. So there might be deals coming up. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of deals in commercial coming up.
when I say commercial, I'm thinking of like warehouses, storage. Like my friend that's doing it right now, everything he has is like warehouses or commercial space.
Okay.
It's like, I mean, if I can find multifamily, I'll always buy multifamily. But they're not, you know how multifamily is right now. It's like kind of treading, and it's not making a ton of money, at least around here, you know. And
Yeah.
there's just not a ton of deals around here right now that are in my realm, you know. But
Right.
I'd like to do more commercial this year. Like I said, I'd like to downsize everything and just keep like my good properties, like kind of get rid of everything that's a pain. And I'm trying to downsize everything, like all my cars. I only want a couple cool cars, a couple cool houses. I would like to sell the whole portfolio and kind of start over. Everything's in good condition and finished. So I'd like to sell it now before it's not, and before I have to like do any work again, and just kind of churn, get a bunch of capital. And that's pretty much it. And business as usual, because my kids are still in school. So it's like we still have a routine. We do the same thing every day, bring them to school, pick them up. And so I kind of have time to drive around and look for deals and do my thing during the day. And so for now, I think I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, try to integrate some more commercial, and just do more wholesale. And hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen in this market. Is it going to crash? Is it going to get better? I don't know. But I feel like if I'm really capitalized, that will be good for me instead of being less capitalized, with a bunch of properties. So I'd rather be capitalized with none than, the other way. But I've done it before. I've sold everything, before, and I just like buying new stuff. And if it's not a great deal, I just get rid of it.
Okay. So with wholesaling, again, that's your business. Do you focus a lot on foreclosures? Do you do a lot of foreclosures?
I do and I don't. Like I'm doing one right now. I think I do a fair amount of foreclosures, but I don't focus on them. You know what I mean? Like they just happen to be in foreclosure.
Okay.
And like I'm not a foreclosure caller. Like even when I call foreclosures, I never ask them if they're in foreclosure. I don't care. You know what I mean? If they want to sell their house, great. If it covers their foreclosure, perfect. If not, I don't ask them because I see people call up and like, hey, I know you're in foreclosure. You're a bum or whatever, and it's like, that's not my pitch. And, but I've done a lot of, like drug houses, stuff like that. They're not typically in foreclosure, but sometimes the ones I've done are usually in foreclosure. And, so yeah, I do them all the time, but I'm learning more and more. Like this one we've been doing now we've extended it like 5 times. It's just like, I don't know. I know the guy pretty well, so I won't say anything, but it's a different house, but it's being a pain.
Yeah. I can imagine. So what kind of, what do you focus on with wholesale? Again, people are dropping. I guess you're just getting mostly, you don't have to look for leads. I'm trying to figure out how are you finding the majority of your leads now then? If you're not cold calling, not door knocking, do you
literally talk to like a million people in Venice, and it's like here and there they just pop. Like how those deals you're always following up with, and then finally the lady is moving or her husband died or whatever, and so those are all still in play. Like I don't do a million deals, and it's like, but I've been doing a lot of JVs, and I just find them in my travels. Like I work with a local bail bondsman, and it's like, when someone goes to jail, we skip them and see what they own, like what they actually own. And because they're always looking for a lawyer or something like that, and if there's overdoses, we always try to see who owns that house, if it's a rental or whatever. And so stuff like that, like out of the box stuff, that website nextdoor.com, or everyone like complains about their neighbors and stuff. We get a lot of stuff off of that because everyone complains about drug houses on there. So it's like they're pretty easy to find on there. And so we do marketing like that, I guess, if that makes sense. Like I don't do traditional marketing. I don't really call so much and, text so much, because those deals are never great deals. Like I feel like if you have a drug house or something like that, you're going to make way more money. And the neighborhood will help you out. You know what I mean? The neighbors will try to get rid of them, give you all the information you need. And so we do a lot of that. And like I said, the bail bondsman gets me a lot of deals, and deals build on themselves,
Right. And then from previous relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I market Venice. Like if you come on my show, have you ever been on the Daily Dow?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like, I always say, hey, I'm in Venice, so it's like when people hear Venice, they'll think of me immediately. I'm not saying Tampa. I'm not saying Sarasota. I'm in Venice,
That was the other reason I thought you were, when you ever said Venice, I always kept thinking Venice Beach.
Yeah. Right.
So, and then I saw on your thing, Los Angeles. Oh, okay. He's in Los Angeles. And
yeah, I got to update that. I'm not like a Facebook guy. You can see if you.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So you don't do much social media.
No, I barely do any. You DM me, it might be 2 days before I even like look at it, And,
right.
But it's too much. Like I have like Facebook, Instagram, like so many different things. WhatsApp, another one. I don't know, just too much. Slack, like all this shit. I'm like, why do we have like 10 platforms here?
Well, that's not the only. You got platforms just for social media. Then you got all this stuff for doing podcasting. Then you got all this stuff for finding deals. Then you got. It's like subscription on. So what kind of software do you use? Any like Privy or PropStream or anything like that?
I use PropStream and just the MLS. That's it.
Okay.
And
And that's how you're
I mean, I have Propelio, but that's not a huge help. And but yeah, that's pretty much it.
okay.
And I feel like if you were a new wholesaler, you don't even need that shit. You know what I mean? You could really just figure out people. Like I have kids that will help me, and I'm like, just go on, People Finder or some one of those websites and find their phone number. Like half the time they're right. It's like eventually you'll find someone, and you can get deals like on Zillow all the time.
Well, how do you know? See, here's my struggle. I don't know what a real deal looks like. I haven't done one yet, and I don't know what it looks like. And when I come across some houses, I started comping and learning comping, and I'm still like, well, I don't know if this is a deal or not. It's not something, and I always consider, well, I wouldn't buy it, so it wouldn't be a deal for me, but I don't know for the person I'm calling for. Is this a deal or not?
Right.
I gotta ask them all the time. So
The thing is I because everyone was like, how do you comp? And I'm like, I just know the neighborhoods. Like I pretty much buy in Venice a lot, and like some people say, hey, do one thing forever, and I just do one market. I just kind of stay in my market, and I
okay,
just do whatever comes at me, SubTo, seller finance, whatever. And so I know the markets, like you can just name a street and I'll tell you like roughly what something's worth there, and there's no
okay,
bad parts in Venice. There's no bad part in Venice. So it's like it doesn't matter where it's at, it's a good neighborhood. And so yeah, and I just try to, I mean, that's my thing, is getting the deals as deep as possible to see how far it can like bring people to. And there's people that disagree with that. Hey, listen, that's whatever. They don't agree with it. And it's like, for me, that's what I'm trying to get better at, is negotiation. That's my wheelhouse, is negotiation. That's what I love the most. And I see these people. I mean, you see them. Oh, hey, I got 20 contracts this week. It's like, how many of those are going to close? None. And it's like, if you have these super stupid slim deals where you're making $5,000, it's like if anything goes wrong, you're not getting paid. You just wasted
hmm
your time. And so I more try to go deep on every deal. I just love it. I have not hit 100K wholesale. I've done an 80, but never 100. So it's like I still have that goal, and but it's awesome. You know what I mean? It gives you a rush. And to go from whatever you're doing now to like next Friday having like 50, 60 grand, you're like, this is worth
yeah,
it. You know what I mean?
right. I haven't had that yet, so I'm still waiting I haven't had a deal to make it real yet, but I'm not giving up. I've got
Yeah.
too much time now, time and money invested in this, so it's like I'm not giving up.
Yeah, no, and
Um,
it's 100% luck of the draw. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I could have 1,000 people call me. I'm just not selling my house.
right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
You
I'm
can
really
call
seeing
the
the numbers.
wrong people for a long time and get no deals. And it's like, I mean, you're in SubTo. Like sometimes I'll see kids come in and just get a deal like in the first like week, and I'm
Oh,
like,
that pisses me off.
yeah, you got lucky. You know what I mean? Like you got lucky. Like that's awesome, but it's like it's not always like that. And
Right.
it happens all the time though.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well, I do see it, but then there's a lot coming in. I see a lot more people with real estate experience. They have their realtor's license coming in now, and they're able to hit those deals. So that's kind of understandable. It's like me. I come in with nothing. I'm pretty much as dumb as can be starting off, and I didn't expect. I didn't expect anything to happen. I remember. I got into the program and they're like, oh, well, you'll probably get a deal done in 60 days. And I'm like, well, for someone that doesn't know absolutely anything, I don't really buy that, but I'm not going on that. I'm going to learn, I want to get into this. I always wanted to get into real estate investing, but it was a big fear. I never even bought my own house. There was a big fear about it. So
right,
this is also tackling fear with me. So, and then like doing this podcast too, because this was a big fear. I didn't, I became a hermit for many years. I had my son and got custody of my son, and then just worked and became a hermit and kind of got rid
yeah,
of. I had a lot of negative people in my life, so pushed them away, got them out, and changed everything. So
yeah.
starting over, kind of like starting life over again.
Yeah, no, I was the same way. I had just a shitty attitude for ages, and I thought it was like funny, like fuck you, fuck everything, and then now I'm just like, how far did that get me?
Yeah. So
And
how you liking doing these daily dials? I mean, you're very helpful in them. You're I love what you're doing in it. I really do. It's everything. I don't get to participate, which pisses me off. I'm always on my way to work. I don't know
Yeah,
if you can ever see me, but I'm always like in the car or I'm at work, so I only get to listen, and I have to jump out a lot. So I get bummed because I don't get to. And then the participation. You helped one guy just break out of his shell. I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that was pretty amazing. You and Jeff had a big breakthrough with a guy
yeah,
that he just started. He has really turned around. I forget his name, but he has really turned around. I watched him and it's just like, wow, that's
yeah.
amazing. So, how do you
It's
like doing that, being that helpful in this program?
it's really great because it's like I learn like way more than they're probably learning, And I was never a teacher. Like I feel like I always could teach, but I just never did. And what was I going to teach, And so now it's like uh, it's awesome to give people something that you're good at because everyone's good at like weird things, And it's like this is really the only thing I'm good at, And but to teach people and but it's 100% a confidence thing. Like you said, I hear the same thing. Like, oh, I want to get a deal. They told me I was going to do it. I should have a deal by now. I see all these people get deals, and it's like everyone goes through that where you're like, man, is this like, am I wasting my time? And
Did I
it's like,
do the right thing?
right, and it's like I'm like a time guy. Like if you waste my time, I'm pissed off. Like I don't care
Okay.
about money or that type of stuff. Just don't waste my time. And so, but it is awesome to see kids come every week and they just get better and better and better. And then as soon as they're gone, they're done. They're good. They've learned what, you could teach them and they're off to whatever. And so I do like it. And it's like some people come every week and they take it seriously and they learn. And my approach is you've heard me, I'm very direct. And it's like, I always try to push people to the limit without passing it or like trying to figure it out because I
Hmm.
rarely get hung up on anymore. Like I used to get all the time, and
Okay.
rarely get hung up on. And so I think it's good. And I don't know. I feel like I just connect with people really quick. It's easy. And it's easier to break the ice on the phone. And then when you knock on the door, they're not scared of me or they're not, they're like, oh, hey, yeah, come on in. Yeah. And so I don't know. I like teaching though. I really do. I like kids. Like I'm like, when we go to car shows, I really love when kids are around, like, here, go do whatever. And it's fun because they want to learn or they're excited. And like in this world, just no one wants to do anything. They just want to hang out and go on their phone or whatever, So it's like you said, I'm not a social media guy. I'm not on it all day. You never see me post deals, like nothing like
No,
that. And it's like,
I don't see you on it
uh,
at all, except for the daily dials. And that's not even social media; it's just Zoom. So,
yeah. So it's like no one even knows I exist. I just sneak through. And but I've been threatening to do more social media, but I just never do.
Pace doesn't get on you for that.
No, everyone says it. Everyone's like, you should start your own YouTube channel. Because I went through a patch where we did like the craziest houses for like a year and a half, and it was like, I don't know if it was good or bad, but it was interesting. It was very interesting seeing how the other half lives and dealing with that. And it was like it's heavy too. You know what I mean? It's like, man, I'm a wholesaler. I'm not like a psychologist, And because I always say like the deals I do, I've done a lot of like super just crazy houses, and then to think that what's my goal? I'm a wholesaler. And it's
Hmm.
like weird that other people are just like, hey, you want to sell? Hey, sir, how's the weather? And I'm like, I'm so far away from that, but we're still doing the same thing. It's kind of weird how wholesale you can kind of take it anywhere you want.
Right. So, do you have any deals that really stuck out in your mind that
Oh
just
yeah,
stick
I
that
got tons of them.
you got good stories?
Yeah, they're all like not great stories though. They're good
Oh,
stories. They're sad. They're like never happy stories. It's like doing drug houses is different than you think. It's
well,
not
yeah.
fun.
Okay, if you're doing drugs and then overdose, drug houses. So
Yeah.
you're talking about like drug dealer houses and then people that OD'd.
Yeah, we have both. We did a bunch of like active houses, like drug houses, and they're just wild. And you see like okay stuff, and then you see super shitty stuff, and you're like
Right.
people
So,
do shitty to people.
okay, so you're starting out wholesaling. Hey, I want to go fuck with drug houses and
Yeah.
that stuff. That sounds like a good. I think that'll be a good positive thing for
Yeah.
me.
Well,
I don't know. That'd be like that sounds kind of like a rough deal, because
right.
also
It
are the
started.
neighbor
I bought
you
one on a street, and then when I bought it, like long story short, is I realized there was another one on the street, another drug house, and then I went down there and I kind of talked to this guy, and he was a Marine or some shit like that. He was a crazy old dude, and long story, we had a ton of trouble over there, and it was like really I won't even get into it. But so anyway, that was like one of our hardest houses, and that was a drug house. But I made like 70 grand on it, and I was like, holy smokes, you know what I mean? And I said, I'm over here trying to get $10,000 deals. Like, what am I doing that for?
right.
Like this is where the money is. And like you said, someone had left it to him and his brother. It was all cash. I mean, it was already paid off. There was no mortgage, so it was like, and it was it's a cool story, but it's like it's sad. You don't want to hear it here, but it's so I did that, and those people, those drug heads from that house, like led me to the next one. You know what I mean? So it's like I went to that house, and then we figured that one was fairly easy. You know what I mean? They just wanted money. It wasn't like a big situation. And then they led me to another one, and so then I was reading next door, and the neighbors are like, some guy just got killed on the lawn across the street from this street in Venice.
Oh
And so I
wow.
went over there, and I don't know how I missed this house, but it was all destroyed and shit. And immediately door knocked it, and it was like this guy had just died there yesterday, so it was like a weird door knock, you know what I mean? And but they were tenants, so they didn't own it. And so, long story short, I tracked the lady down. She had inherited it. She lived in California. She lived in Anaheim, so it was like she was kind of bossy. I don't know. It was a weird deal. But anyway, so I made the deal with her. I told her, hey, someone died in your house. You got problems, basically. And so she sold me the house. That was a meth house. And so it was pretty bad. It wasn't the worst I've seen. And then that led us to the next one. And that led us to the next one. And then we started going to the city over, and that's like way worse than Venice. And that was like where we really started seeing action, but making like ridiculous fees, ridiculous,
Okay.
making a year's pay every house. And so that was like where it got fun, and I was like, holy smoke, like you can make a lot of money doing this. And then we went to the Clever Summit. Like I don't think you were in then, but like I don't know if you've heard about it. It was a couple years ago in
No, I didn't hear about
Vegas.
that.
And it was like I swear, when I went to that summit, I was like depressed. I had like been through so many like shitty deals where I saw like just the craziest stuff happen, people ODing and dying. And it was like, I'm not built like that. I got two kids, and those days are like behind me. And so I was like pretty much depressed when we went there, and I really realized, I was like, man, this is taking a toll on me. I gotta like kind of slow it down on those style houses. And but they got to the point where it was easy, and they knew me. Like I knew those people. When we went to a drug house, I would know someone that knew someone, and it was like, they would trust me pretty much. They wouldn't be like, oh, he's a narc, or don't let him in, or whatever. Like they would always give me respect. Like, hey, this is what I'm here to do. That's all I'm here for. And I totally am non-judgmental of anyone, whatever they want to do. There's no limits. You know what I mean? Do it. And that was kind of where I got out of it. It was like I saw two young girls. They were like maybe 15, like buying fentanyl, and I was like, dude, like we can't do this. You know what I mean? And they were
Oh,
like, what do you
that's
mean?
yeah.
And it's like that's when I was like, this is like now where I'm having trouble. It was like, if you're an adult and you do whatever, that's one thing. But it was like, these girls are literally in high school, you
Right.
know. And so that was like kind of where I was like, man, I don't know about this.
All
And
right. So
so
yeah.
we still do drug houses, but not like that. That one was just over the top.
Okay. So you brought up something else. You said you went to a summit and got you went to it depressed. Now, being in business is tough alone, right?
Mm.
So, and we all go through times where like we doubt ourselves and stuff like that. How do you get yourself through that? How did you overcome that depression, or pick yourself back up and get back to it?
Um, it took me a long time, honestly. I was still wholesaling, but I was just like lost the zeal for it, and it took me a long time. Like it was a lot to process.
Hmm.
And the thing was, is I had my first 6K month or six-figure month. You know what I mean? And it's always like, yeah, we made 100 grand this month, and it's awesome. And then I was just like, I feel like shit right now, you know? And I didn't feel bad for doing the houses. Like I did my part and I did everyone right. I didn't do anything shitty or nothing, you know, but it was just like what I saw there just depressed me, you know? It was like, and when you're stuck in those deals, you're really, really hand to hand with the seller almost always. It's never like they sign a contract and you see him at closing. It's like every day, hey, this guy got arrested. This guy's not here. This guy got he's in jail again. You got to bail him out. And it's like,
Putting out fires.
yeah. And I'm honest with my sellers. I said, hey, my fee is only 30 grand. It needs to be about 50 to like put up with this bullshit. You know what I mean? Or I'm out of here. And I explained to them, like, there's no realtor coming here to sell this house. You can trust me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the guy to do it. Like, there's no one coming here. No one's selling this house. It's not loanable. You guys are literally cooking drugs. Like, this house has to be remediated. There's a lot that goes on here. And there's no realtors doing that. You're not having showings. You're not doing any of that. And so it's like, hey, you know, I'm not trying to help you out, but it's like, we got to work together. You know, it's like, you don't have many options and this is what I do. So we got to work together. And they usually get arrested a lot. That's like a thing where it's like, you know, they always call me and I'm like, well, I'm not your dad. You know what I mean? Like, why are you calling me? And,
Holy moly.
but I've literally bailed someone out and drove them straight to closing a couple times, you know, and
Really?
yeah, and you know what's kind of cool is the first kid I ever did that with, he called me maybe 2 weeks ago, and he's been clean for like, you know what it was? He sent me, I don't know much about it, but like they send you the chip that's like, it was like a gold chip that said 1 year clean or something like that. He
Okay.
sent me a text of it, and I called him right away, and I was like, awesome, you've been clean for a year. And he was like, yeah, I've been clean. It's awesome. I work servicing pools or something like that, you know? And so he was the only guy out of everyone I've ever bought from that made it out alive, that like is still doing, it is doing good, you know? And but like the last one we did, the guy's in prison already. He got money and lost his shit and he's in prison. And it sucks because they have the opportunity. I know the guy, he made 340 grand. It's like, you can turn your life around with 340 grand. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You definitely could.
Just drove it right into the ground. And he's, like I said, he's in prison. And so it's like, it's weird. Like I said, there's a lot of ups and downs because you're like, I did the right thing. These people are going to be awesome. And then you're like, well, I don't know. Did I help that guy kill himself? You know what I mean? Like I gave him the money, ODs and dies. It's like, am I part of that or am I buying a house? You know, like which is it? And
Right.
but you do that enough times, and it's like, I don't know, man. It's like you just start thinking that a lot, you know. And it's like,
I can see how that can weigh. Yeah, did I do the right thing? Especially when you're seeing the aftermath of what they do with money they get in their hands. Yeah.
yeah. So it's bummer, but it's sometimes it's good. But I've had a rough patch.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to keep your head above water? Like mental wise on that? Because yeah, that plays a and then you said it affected your business there for a while. You weren't into wholesaling, you weren't into doing this shit, you know, and
Yeah.
I totally can see. I was doing just foreclosure calls for a while, and geez, it messed with me. It was like, man, all these people are, and I got to understand that they're in a situation, but you know, geez, it's like a whole ball of negativity. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you
Right.
deal with that?
I was, you know, Keston, I was going to his training or his like mentorship, and I went to that, and I like didn't get it. You know what I mean? And it was like weird. Like everyone in the group got it, and I was like, "Hey, Keston, I don't know what's going on, but like I'm the one dissenter. Like I don't like none of this is working for me." You know? And he was like, "What?" You know? And but I'm like honest, you know, and I said, hey, honestly, like I feel like I need more, something's missing or something, you know what I mean? Like I don't feel 100%. And
Hmm.
we went through a thing on like, what's your purpose? And it's like, I can never answer that question. Like, what is my purpose? You know? And it's like, is it doing this? Is it, what is it? You know? And so and then, so I got real heavy into that mindset thing. And I felt like I came out of it. And then, but now I'm like, coasting. You know, I feel like I'm not doing good. I'm not doing bad. I'm just coasting. And I feel like I need more mindset instead of work. Like right now, I feel like I need to do that more, pay more attention to it because
Right.
it affects me in a lot of ways. Just like talking to your kids, talking to your neighbors, and like, you know, but
Well, Yeah, you're right. You know, you're absolutely right how it affects everything. It's like, and I didn't really notice that until you getting into doing stuff like this. Because I guess when you're having more relationships with people, all this comes out and it gets amplified. I was, like I said, I was a hermit for last 8 years, just me and my son, taking care of my son, me, my son, and my mom. She's going blind, so
Yeah.
helping her out. And that's all it's been, work and then dealing with work. But I always shut work out and ignored all the crap from there, and just it's all the work, home stuff. So it's hard.
It's a vicious circle because when I worked a lot too, it was like, you leave, you come back, you go to sleep, you eat, you leave, you come back. You know what I mean? It's like just a circle, and it's so easy to get into it, and then you do whatever you do on the weekends. Like you look forward to the weekends, and you're not thinking about anything else, and just you get in that circle.
So
And
what kind of schedule do you have now? What kind of schedule do you have during the week?
Hang on 1 second.
Oh, you're right.
The tow truck guys here. All right. Tell them I'm on a podcast. All right. Thank you. Sorry.
A few minutes.
My wife's car broke down today, and so the tow truck guy's here right now. So I don't know.
All right. We'll let you go in a few minutes.
Yeah. So my schedule right now, I go to the gym every morning. I come home. I take the kids to school, and then I come home. And do you know Adam Diaz? He's in the group.
I can't say the name. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's we have a call every day, and he's
Okay.
real positive. We're like the biggest opposites you ever met, and it's like he's like a preacher, and I'm just a lunatic, and we talk every day. And so that call has been going for, I'd say, a year and a half at this point.
Every day?
Yeah. And so, and we're just like two dads, and it's like, how you talk about your wife, like, oh man, my wife did this, or my kids did that, or this sucks, I didn't get to have fun this weekend, or I didn't do anything. So it's like we just kind of connect as dads and business owners, and I get a lot out of that, because it's that one dude that you get to tell every day, like, hey, listen, this is what happened yesterday, I feel shitty about this, like, what do you think?
Right.
And like I said, he's like a preacher, so he brings everything kind of full circle for me, and explains, like, this is kind of how I see it, and it's like I would never see it that way, so it gives me like a perspective that I would never have. And like I said, we're real opposites, but we get each other a lot, and so I do that call, but mindset wise, I gotta like put some time aside and like focus, because sometimes when I got nothing to do, I'll like go on YouTube or something and just do nothing, so it's like I need to focus, but I don't have a lot of time. I feel like I don't have a lot of time to do that,
Right. So how did you juggle this though when you were doing full-time work and then trying to do deals?
I just would work, and then I would just call. I would call at any time. Like I would call at lunch, I'd call in the morning. I didn't care. And I never got any deals really while I worked, though. I just really never got any deals, but I still called all the time.
That's what I'm doing. I'm at work. I'll call at lunch. He's setting up appointments now. I'll get little calls. It's like, oh shit, I got to run in the back in the warehouse and do the call.
Right. Someone calls you, you have to take it. You're like, I'm out of here. And,
right. Out the door. He's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's cool. I did it too, and it's like the calls are more meaningful then when you have like a short time span.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I have to do calls from 6 to 7. I have to do them. So it's like you get them done. And now, like I try to call every day at 2. And at the beginning of last year, or April to like November, I called religiously at 2 o'clock, 2 to 5, 2 to 7. And I had a small team of VAs, and it was me and 2 VAs. And one guy was just purely an integrator, and the other kid called. And it was okay. Like we talked to a million people, but it was just like no one was selling. It was right when the market was turning weird. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the interest rates went up, and everyone was like kind of spooked about selling or buying or anything. So it was like, I think it was a bad time to call. And I don't know. I just got too focused on calling and not enough in the field, like buying houses. And sometimes I realized this: when I focused on calling, I wasn't going to my normal hangouts and like seeing people. And then soon as I did, people are like, oh, there's this house on Mango, like you got to go see it. And I'm like, dude, why don't you call me? And they're like, well, I always see you around, and like you're never around, and I'm like, I got to be. And so right then I was like, I have to be more on the streets and covering all my bases and going to meet people, going to meetups, shit like that, and
Yeah.
going to the bank. Just go to the bank. You know what I mean? Every day. And those ladies are awesome. They tell me everything they probably shouldn't. Just going to title all the time. And you learn stuff at title, just showing up, give them your actual contract instead of emailing it or just whatever, you know? And,
Right.
but I feel better. Like we were saying, kind of how you deal with ups and downs is when I go in the field a lot more and I do go see those people, I always feel better.
Right.
Because like, just like you said, when you're home with just you and your kid, it's like you can kind of really get into what you're into and not see the outside world.
Close it all off.
Yeah, and it's so easy. And sometimes it's like, well, I don't know, it's 7 p.m. Should I call? Oh, it's too late, you know, and then you talk yourself out of calling, you know, and because I'll call up till like about 9. Sometimes people get pissed, you know, like, dude, why are you calling me? And I'm like, I just say the same thing. I called you during the day, you didn't answer. You answered right now. Like, that's why I called you.
I love that.
When you answer, you know.
Okay.
And
So yeah, I've always been I've been hesitant to call after 8. I'll shut it down. I'm not calling after 8 because yeah, during the foreclosures, boy, I got cussed out a lot, and I'm just like, man, I
yeah,
don't need to be cussed out any more than usual.
calling
So
on Sundays, people get mad sometimes. Calling at
no, I
noon.
haven't done
So,
Sundays, but that's my day. I got to have a day for me.
yeah,
I still
I'll
work
call
full
on
time.
Sunday. And
Yeah.
or you know, Super Bowl or something like that. You know, everyone's around, everyone's answering or whatever. And so this was a couple of years ago. There was that. It was actually in Texas. There's this kid in Texas. His name's JD something. But anyway, so we would call. There was that big freeze you had like 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
During that, I pulled a Texas list and called like all pre foreclosures in Texas.
Yeah.
Again, everyone was home, you know, and it was like, and people were pissed, like, oh, my pipes are frozen, like you guys are sharks. And I said, dude,
Yeah, we don't have any power.
yeah, you know, and people are losing power, people are frozen, they haven't eaten in a day, like, but so we called during that little thing, and it was kind of cool. Like you learn a lot, and I don't really call Texas too often, you know. And so it was like I learned a lot about their market, and apparently it doesn't get cold a lot, like that cold. Like no one was like prepared. I felt like, you know.
I got one more question for you. Who are your biggest influences at the moment, say in SubTo or out of SubTo? Who are the ones that you pay attention to the most right now?
Uh, in SubTo, I would say, you know, Pace is one of the best callers of all time. Like I still listen to his calls, and he's very intuitive. Like he can figure
Yes.
you out quick, and like me and Pace have like you can go through SubTo and like look at our posts and stuff, you know. So it's like we have a dynamic, you know, call it. And Don Rich
Okay.
was like huge for me. Like he's accessible. Like to this day, I literally love that guy. He's taught me so much and doesn't even know it, you know. And Keston for mindset. Oscar's like I just hang around with him and we just drive around and we go to Panera all day and just do deals, you know. And
Okay.
so he's like a grinder. He wants to have a meetup every day if he could, you know. And so it's like those guys are people I hang around with a lot. I look up to, and I try to hang around people like that. Like Caroline, I love Caroline more than she'll ever know, you know. And we just have an awesome dynamic. And there used to be this lady Sabina in the group. I'm not even sure if she's still around, but it was
Mm,
my bad. I used to talk to her all the time, and I just haven't contacted her in a while. And
cool.
in the beginning, I felt like I was so active in the beginning, and there wasn't a lot of people, so it was
Mm-hmm.
like we were a lot closer to those people than now.
Right.
Where it's like, you know, I went on Pace of Zoom the other day, and there was like 600 people or something, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. He's got a lot. And
yeah.
so, I mean, how many are coming in? Do you see on when you're doing the Zooms in the morning, like how many people are in your Zooms?
Sometimes like a high Zoom for me with a lot was maybe 130, 140,
Right.
and then usually I'm around 100. I mean, and
Okay.
then sometimes like there was I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago there was like 80 people. There's not a lot, you know.
Yeah. Did it drop out during the holidays?
Uh, sort of. I don't know. It does. It never drops off more than as much as I think. Like
Okay.
people like usually show up, you know, and it's like sometimes I'll if they cancel it, like SubTo cancels it, I'll have my own Zoom, and still a lot of people show up.
All right. So did Carolyn Kane get you to go skydiving the last time she was there? Just like
No, she
no?
didn't. I didn't like have. I've been skydiving before, but I didn't have enough time, and I was just kind of over it. I wasn't in like that mood at the time, and we showed up late too, like a day and
Okay.
a half late. So
All right.
But yeah, no, that kid Brad that does all the skydiving, he lives in our market. Well, close enough. You know, I see him all the time. He's awesome, and he's like the spearhead of that
Okay.
skydiving thing. You know, but
So,
it looked like everyone had fun. I just got there and everyone was already done, and I wasn't going
all
to do it.
right.
And everybody definitely wasn't. Like we've both gone before, but it's just like not my thing at the moment. You know.
Yeah, I've never done it, so that one, I don't know. I still question jumping out of a plane.
Yeah, it's fun.
I
I
think
went
I'd
in the
love to try it.
shittiest plane ever. You know, I couldn't
Yeah.
wait to get out and jump out of that thing. It was a hoopty.
How was it? It was
Yeah, it was in California the last time I went, and it was cool. And I was super hungover, and it was like it was a mess, you know. But it was fun, and I went with one of my good friends, and so we went and we had fun, you know.
all right. I'm gonna wrap it up. Let you get off. I know you got a tow truck driver waiting for you, so we'll give you
Awesome.
your time
Well,
back, man.
thanks for having me on, Todd. I appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you coming on. It's been great, great getting to know you. I always wanted to get a chance to talk to you, and I never do on the Daily Dial. So, like I said, I don't get a chance to participate. I'm usually driving or at work. So,
Yeah.
do you have Facebook or anything that you would like to tell people about? Like, I know you're not too big into social media, but if anybody wants to find you, you can mention it on here and let them know.
Yeah, I have. You can just DM me if you have deals. That's pretty much where I do most of my deals. I have every day I'm Hudselin, like HUD on Instagram. You can just search my name, you'll see it.
Yeah, that's on
And
his Facebook.
I think I have Snapchat, but I don't even know how that works.
Okay. I'll grab some links. I'll grab your Instagram too and put them in the description, your
All
Facebook
right,
and
awesome.
Instagram. But man, I appreciate it. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to end the recording right now. We're ending.